Welcome to Highly Sensitive, Happily Married, the podcast that teaches you to not only have an easier marriage as a sensitive woman, but to have one that feels more amazing by the day. Where you'll hear relatable stories, love advice that works, and coaching on how to have a marriage where feeling upset and disconnected is a thing of the past, and where instead a sense of loving connection and even fun and lightness is the norm. I'm Hannah Brooks, highly sensitive person, love expert, and marriage coach, and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. Hello, my sensitive and deep feeling friends. Welcome to episode 173, where I'm going to give you 4 quick hacks to come back to calmness, ease, and lightness, or we could also just call that regulation. I've wanted to bring you this episode for so long, so I'm excited to do that finally today. But before we dive into those 3 quick hacks, I want to make sure you know that you have just a couple days to join my upcoming 4-week live group program for deep feeling and sensitive people. That's for women and men, or people of any gender. It's called Foundations of Emotional Well-Being, for HSPs, the root of a better relationship. And of course, it's the root of a better life as well. It's all about breaking free of reactivity in life and love at the most foundational, i.e. nervous system level, and being able to guide your emotions so you can settle into a much more steady sense of calm, grounded, safety, lightness, and ease in your life, and respond to whatever life throws at you from your most wise, intelligent, intuitive, and fortified, resilient, nourished self. I really don't recommend missing out on this because not only is this course half off at only $199, and honestly, I could be selling this course for $999 because it's that powerful, that important, that transformational. And what you learn and develop in it is the essential foundation for so much in life. And as HSPs, without this knowledge and skill set, it really just makes for a much harder life in all realms, and especially in intimate relationships. I should know because I lived a lot of my life as a sensitive person without this skill set and knowledge, and it's just been like night and day now that I have this skill set and knowledge. So join us. The link to learn more and join us is in the show notes, or you can find more about this under the course tab at my website, hspmarriagecoaching.com. And you got to sign up in the next couple of days because doors close at the end of the day on December 2nd. And we start up right away on Tuesday. All right, so if you missed the last couple of episodes, then before I dive into the 4 quick hacks to bring you back to centeredness and nervous system regulation, you're going to want to understand that so many of our relationship problems, the struggle and the disconnection and the miscommunication and the animosity that can come up in them, the discord in them, and of course, so much of the struggles that we might find ourselves in other relationships too, stem from a disconnection from the part of us that can connect. In other words, all these challenges and struggles in relationships stem from nervous system dysregulation, which leaves us disconnected from our calm and connect branch of our nervous system. For us to really connect with others and to just feel safe in ourselves, we need that branch of our nervous systems to be activated. Because when we are in that branch, when we are in that calm and connect state, when that's activated, the emotions that we feel are things like safe, calm, love, clear, right? Like clear-headed. We can feel delight and connection and joy and openness and curiosity and belonging and trust and courage and peace and playfulness. Really all the emotions that feel really good and help us relate in the very best ways to our own self and to our loved ones and everyone in our life and everything in our life. The trouble is, very, very often in our modern lives, the fight or flight or freeze branches of our nervous system are the ones that are most activated, which takes us out of this calm and connect place and all of these emotions I've just mentioned. And to give the briefest overview of the fight, flight, or freeze states, we could consider the fight or flight states one branch, and the freeze state is a separate branch. When the fight or flight branch is activated, we get into like a fight mode or a flee mode, right? So like attack mode or avoidance mode. Like I'm just going to leave this room and ignore my partner mode. And the emotions that we will tend to feel in this fight or flight mode are anxiety, a sense of being frazzled, irritation and annoyance, anger. We'll be really judgmental. We'll feel maybe afraid. We'll feel harried. We'll feel raging or manic or super stressed or just stressed. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate to being in that fight or flight mode. Now, freeze mode is different, and we go there a lot as well, especially as women in our modern world. And that is a place where we shut down, we go numb, we withdraw. And some of the emotions that are a sign that you're in freeze mode are feeling depressed, numb, disconnected, despair, alone, far away in a sense emotionally, withdrawn, overwhelmed, hopeless, and even unloved. So when you are in either the fight or flight branch of your nervous system, which is also called the sympathetic branch of your nervous system, or you're in the freeze branch, which is really the threat branch of your parasympathetic nervous system, it's going to lead to a hard time and more conflict and separation and disconnection and discord in your relationship and all realms of your life, really. And unfortunately, and especially as deep feeling and sensitive people, we do get stuck in these modes a lot or chronically in modern life. In other words, we become chronically dysregulated. But luckily, you can change that with conscious attention and some learning. And you want to change that because nervous system regulation is at the very foundation of not only your emotional and physical well-being. Yes, it very much affects your physical health and the length of your life, but it's also very much at the foundation of your relationships' well-being. Like I said last week, we want to spend the majority of our waking time in the calm and connect branch with that part of us activated. And this branch is also called the tend and befriend branch, the ventral vagal. And some of you will have heard that it's called the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. And it's part of the parasympathetic branch, but the parasympathetic branch also, one portion of it is what activates freeze. So that's for those that are more interested in the science behind some of this. But my point here is when we are in our ventral vagal, when we are in our calm and connect, tend and befriend state, when that branch of our nervous system is activated, that's when we can connect, when we can feel our hearts, when we can access love and communicate clearly and well. And that's when we are at our smartest, most intuitive, and most able to respond in the best, most love and harmony promoting ways. The list of awesome benefits that being in this state provides to relationships goes on and on and on, but I just wanted to give you a taste. Now, I said you want to spend most of your waking life in this calm and connect state, maybe with little bits of the others sprinkled in, which I'm not going to get into right now. But you also, for optimal well-being and cell health, which contributes to emotional and relationship well-being, of course, because when you're sick, that adds stress to your system and can contribute to dysregulation and fight, flight, or freeze. But you want to also spend a fair amount of time in rest, digest. Most of you have heard that term. And that's the state you want to be in when you're sleeping, and also like when you're taking a nap or consciously resting and restoring. Now, calm and connect and rest and digest are actually different branches of the parasympathetic nervous system, but that doesn't get talked about enough. So you might not have known that. You really don't want to be spending much time in fight, flight, or freeze, but many of us do a lot of the time. But to develop a very responsive, resilient nervous system that spends most of the time in rest and digest and calm and connect and goes into fight, flight, or freeze only at the true emergency moments of life like it's supposed to, most of us need to do some direct and step-by-step work to regulate our nervous systems, including reducing stored or accumulated survival stress and learning how to metabolize chronic daily stress. And there is a layered step-by-step approach to this. Now, a lot of people on the internet and probably on podcasts and such talk about nervous system hacks, quote unquote, HACKS, hacks. So you may well have heard of them, you may well have tried some, and they can be helpful. These nervous system hacks are meant primarily to activate either your rest digest branch of the nervous system or your calm and connect state. And they really can help you move out of fight, flight, or freeze temporarily and land in a more centered, connected, or healing state. And this, of course, is a beautiful thing. That's why I want to share some with you. But nervous system hacks are not a substitute for truly learning how to develop nervous system resilience and regulation and going through a real, multifaceted, multi-layered process to do so step by key step. So, although I'm going to give you 3 of these hacks right now, please keep that in mind. I'm going to give you these today because I want you to get a taste of how you can guide your nervous system, how you can de-stress and activate the parts of you that can best connect and rest, chill, and peace out. But just understand that they are not enough on their own. To truly understand and guide your nervous system into real and consistent regulation and resilience, there is more to it. So don't make the mistake of thinking a few hacks will fix your chronic stress or dysregulation. The internet has made it seem that that may be so, but it just isn't. If you want a holistic, multifaceted, layered approach to getting back to peace, centeredness, groundedness, from which the best emotions flow and the best connection arises, come participate in Foundations of Emotional Well-Being for HSPs. It will cover all the basics in a well-rounded, sequential way and change your entire life as you apply and integrate what you learn. But for now, I want you to try out these 3 hacks, and they are body-based because the nervous system is best communicated to via the body and using your attention, your awareness in specific ways. So I suggest that you listen to me describe all 4 of these hacks and then try them out. So number 1, we will call widen into your peripheral vision. This one is for bringing your nervous system back into balance by activating the thriving part of the parasympathetic branch, not the SOS emergency part, which will take you into freeze. And this is going to help you feel centered again. So this little hack can definitely help with anxiety and frazzle and overwhelm and takes you into a calm place. And I'd bet money it can support you in getting out of the freeze state as well. I know this one works so well for me because I always naturally end up taking a huge sigh as I do it. And I really just feel my body letting go and really relaxing. This one was taught to me from multiple teachers in a couple different versions. So that's really a testament to it. So I totally invite you to try it. This is a great one. So how you do it, sit or stand comfortably and soften your gaze. And imagine that you could kind of widen your vision into the peripheral fields of vision. So you can see the walls to the left and the right, even as you keep looking frontward and forward. And you can start to include the floor and the ceiling at the same time. As you keep the soft gaze pointed forward, include all of those peripheral spaces in your field of vision. And even begin to imagine now that you could see above you and below you and even behind you as you keep that soft gaze focusing forward. And just stay with that for a few moments. You might notice a big breath or a sigh wanting to happen. Allow it to happen. And take as long as you want here. And then just notice how it feels. Notice how that affects you. All right. Feel free to pause this to stay with us for a little bit longer. And when you're ready, you can move on to number 2. Hack 2, body-based hack number 2 for nervous system regulation is the long exhale, or the 2-to-1 breath. This one specifically activates the rest digest part of your parasympathetic nervous system, that healing restorative branch that literally helps with cell repair and digestion and regeneration of the body. And it's very relaxing. This one could be a good one to use before bed or when you're really resting in the middle of the day. It's not the best for, say, driving, but it can help with anxiety to really calm you. So feel free to try it when you're anxious or stressed. But I've found that it's not the best to go from super anxious to calm. And there are things to understand to help bring anxiety down more effectively in many cases, which I go into in Foundations of Emotional Well-Being, but you never know. So you could definitely try it and see if it helps with that. I used to do a slightly different version of this with some tweaks that really, really, really helped me through a very anxiety-producing plane ride. And I've always just found this long exhale, 2-to-1 breathing really, really calming and helpful. So here's how you do it. Again, you can sit comfortably upright or you can lie down on your back. You can do this standing, but do try to be in a position where your lungs have room. I advise breathing through your nose, as this activates the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system and deactivates the fight or flight branch. Now, if you're kind of lethargic already, then use your mouth breathing instead. But also maybe don't do this breath. There are other things that might be more helpful for you. So how you'll actually do it is you'll take in a full breath through your nose, and then you'll exhale for twice as long through the nose. So you could count the in-breath to say 3 counts in, and then the out-breath will be 6 counts out. Or you could do 4 counts in, so lengthening it a little bit, and then 8 counts out. Ideally, you work up to a slower, longer in and out breath. But you got to play with what feels good to you. You don't want to create stress by slowing down your breath too much for you. And that's it. You just breathe in for however many counts and then exhale out for twice that amount of counts. And do this for 2 to 5 minutes and then notice how you feel. All right, the next 2 hacks are really related, and they're both about getting you into the calm and connect state, which is not just the state in which you're calm, but also the state from which you can access pleasure and where you're playful. It's that light, calm, connected, playful state that feels so good to us as humans. Now, when we play, depending on the quality of play, it may be that we also activate a bit of sympathetic energy, that's fight or flight, but it's minimal for this hack. So this hack we could call playful dance. And if you're not into dancing, I'm going to give you the 4th hack in a minute. You might try that, as it's a similar approach, but doesn't require dancing. So how do you do the playful dance? It's very straightforward, and it is just what it sounds like. Put on a light and bouncy, but not overly fast or loud song. I have some really good suggestions, so I'm going to give them to you now for songs. So the first one is called Airplane by Julia and Angus Stone. Another one is called Sufi Drop by Sean Hayes. Another good one is Flower People by, I think you pronounce it Tia, it's Tya. And the last one I'm going to suggest for now is called Maputo Song by the Maputo Drummers. And that's spelled Maputo. And that one's a little hard to find, but on Spotify, you can look up Maputo Song and 2 things will come up. And it's the one that has like a hand drum on it and says in big letters, Africa. I really like that one for this. And once you've chosen your song and you have it playing, just let yourself dance like no one's watching, playfully to the music. literally let yourself play, be silly, be goofy. Let the music spark your playfulness. Let yourself be childlike even. And do this for the whole length of the song. And once the song ends, notice how you feel. You have very most likely activated that calm and connect part of your nervous system, and you should feel lighter, more carefree. All right, so hack number 4. Again, this is going to kind of do the same thing, but in this case, we're going to tap into that calm and connect state via playfulness using your voice in playful ways. So I think this is so fascinating, but there's this fun word, prosody, Prosody. And to give you a basic sense of what that means, the internet says that prosody refers to the melody of speech or the variations in pitch, loudness, and timing that convey meaning beyond the words themselves. So you'll notice that as I said that, I had a very melodic and varied intonation. And that's what prosody means. And what's so fascinating to me about prosody is that it communicates safety or lack of it. Using this varied melodic intonation, and specifically, primarily when you do it in the higher ranges of your voice, that speaks directly to the ventral vagus nerve, the calm and connect branch of the nervous system in mammals. And when our prosody is melodic like this, and again, especially in those higher pitches, it communicates safety to other creatures, other mammals. But we can also use it to communicate safety to ourselves. If you think about it, if we're able to use our voices melodically, there's no urgency, there's no emergency. Right? We don't speak like this when there's an emergency, right? So it registers when we use that kind of prosody. It registers in our mind, body, heart systems, and our nervous systems that all is well, that you are safe. Enjoy this moment, right? That's kind of what it communicates. So research also shows, interesting, that adjusting our prosody this way soothes and creates a sense of safety and connection, whereas a more steady or low rumbly tone creates more lack of safety or fear. So this is why so many of us speak in a sing-song voice to little beings, like little kids or animals. So if you know you do that, it's not just because you're wacky, but because you have an inherent unconscious knowing that sing-songy, high-pitched voice is soothing and connecting for little kids and pets. Okay, I was just being a little bit silly, but I really want you to hear that because it's so cool. You're not wacky or weird if you use that sing-songy, high-pitched voice. It actually means you have an inherent unconscious knowing that that's really soothing for little beings. And guess what? It's also really soothing and connecting for your nervous system too, even when you yourself are the one doing it. So how do you do it? How do you do this hack? Again, you sit or stand or lie down, whatever works for you. And just like the last one, I'd suggest that you're alone, right? That you're in your own space with no one around, because I don't want you to worry about anyone hearing you when you do this, in case that's something that would stress you out a little bit. And then all you do is you just start being playful with your voice, and especially explore the kind of higher ranges of your voice, not like super high pitched, right? But just a little higher. Like, have you ever been around a baby at about 3 months of age or so, where they start to really play with their voices? They're like, ooh, ooh, whoa, blah, 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 blah. Right? You could even just imagine you're like a 3-month-old baby just discovering this voice box that you have and what it can do, and just play with it, explore it. So I don't know what that's going to sound like, but I was doing it the other day. It was like, ooh, 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 ooh. Right? I was just kind of singing and playing. And it was so fun and freeing and left me feeling really happy and light and carefree and grounded. So play with this for a little while yourself and just notice how you feel after a few minutes of it. All right. So I hope that was fun and left you feeling light and connected to yourself and relaxed and grounded and kind of carefree and playful. These states are all, of course, very conducive to all things good in your life and your relationship especially. So these types of practices, if done consistently, can help guide us into calm and connect and rest digest. But to stay there naturally much of the time like we are meant to do, other things need to happen, right? You can't just patchwork together a few little hacks here and there and expect that your nervous system will become regulated. Consider this analogy. Doing these practices, these little hacks, are a bit like taking ibuprofen or aspirin for pain that's coming from a pinched nerve or something, right? The pills will help you feel better temporarily. The practices will help you feel better temporarily. But to stay better, to really get better, you really need to heal the source of the problem, right? You need to get that nerve unpinched by structurally making some changes in your body through body work or whatever. And so for you to heal your nervous system at the source, you'll also need to address that source of chronic stress and dysregulation. So that means learning how to process or metabolize the stored stress that keeps you getting pulled back into dysregulation, and also how to process the daily stress that keeps coming in an ongoing way so that it doesn't become stored stress. And to heal it at the source, you're also going to need to have a deeper and more full and accurate understanding of what really does pull you into dysregulation and what keeps you there, and what works for your unique and sensitive nervous system to get you and keep you regulated. And that, of course, is what you will do, all of that, in Foundations of Emotional Wellbeing for HSPs. So join us. I'd head right over to the link in the description or to my website, hspmarriagecoaching.com, and click on the courses place, and then find that tab that says Foundation of Emotional Wellbeing for HSPs. We are heading into a very full holiday season, and I know for many of you, that's a stressful time. So that's why this is the perfect time to take this course, because it's going to deeply support you in staying out of the stress and de-stressing. So instead of this next month being a time of overwhelm, it's going to be a time where you're actually freeing yourself of that stress and that dysregulation and moving into these lighter, more carefree, more calm, more relaxed and grounded places in yourself so that you can connect most lovingly and deeply with your loved ones and your significant other, of course, and get better and better at that over time. All right, my dears, I'll see you inside Foundations of Emotional Wellbeing for those of you joining, and make sure you join no later than Monday the 2nd. And for everyone else, enjoy these hacks and be oh so well.